Hello, 2B. Today we're going to talk about different parts of speech. So that means different types of words that we use in our sentences when we're reading and when we're writing. And it's important to know what these different types of words are because it helps us to make sense of what a passage is talking about. So if there's a word we don't know, we might be able to figure out what it means. It also helps us to understand how good writers use these different types of words to really convey their message. And then when we learn from that, we can use that in our writing to write really effective stories or nonfiction or whatever genre of writing we're doing. So let's take a look at those different parts of speech.
The parts of speech we're going to be talking about today are nouns, verbs, and adjectives. There are other parts of speech, but the main ones we want you to be able to identify in grade 2 are nouns and verbs. And then also in grade 2, we want you to be able to tell us describing words. So those are usually adjectives or adverbs, which we'll talk about in another lesson this week. So a noun is a word for a person, place, animal, or thing. So here are some examples of nouns. Teacher is a noun, it's a person. A suitcase is a noun, that's a thing. A kitchen is a place, which is a noun. And a dog is also a thing, so that is a noun. So a verb is an action word, and it tells what something or someone is doing. So let's take a look at some examples of verbs. So planting is a verb, she is planting. She is bouncing, that's also a verb, she is doing something, bouncing. Screams is a verb, he screams. Or she crawls. In that sentence, it would be crawls. That is the verb. Next, we're going to look at adjectives. So an adjective is a word that describes a noun. Now, there is more than one type of describing words. There are also adverbs, which describe verbs. We don't need to know exactly what an adverb is in grade 2. We just need to know that there are words that describe things in our writing. So one of those types of words is adjectives. So they are descriptive words. They describe. Let's take a look at these. So smelly is a describing word. It's describing what those shoes are like. Windy, it's describing the weather. Loud, it's describing what that boy sounds like. And dirty, it's describing that boy as well. So let's take a look at some different types of verbs in these sentences. So I'm going to try to find a noun in this sentence. So I see the old man walked to the store. So I know man is a noun, that's a person, and store is a place, so that's also a noun. Then I know there's at least one verb in this sentence, and the verb is walked. The old man walked to the store. And then the last type of word that is in this sentence is an adjective. Adjectives won't be in every single sentence, but there is one in this sentence, something describing the man, and it is old. Old is the adjective here. So let's take a look at this next one. My dad is cooking steak for dinner. So there's going to be at least one noun. I see dad. And then dinner is a thing. Steak is a thing. And there should be a verb. The verb is what's happening, what someone or something is doing. So the dad is doing something. What the dad is doing is he is cooking. And are there any adjectives in this sentence? There are not. There are no describing words in this sentence. Now we've got, we drove to the park. So, drove is what someone is doing. That's the we in this sentence. They're driving. They drove to the park. What is park in this sentence? That would be a noun. That's a place. Let's look at Tim splashed in the big puddles. So Tim is a person. I know that's going to be a noun. Splashed. That is something he is doing. So splashed is going to be a verb. In the big. Big is describing what the puddles are like. So I need to add purple for an adjective. Big is an adjective. And then puddle is a thing. So that's going to be a noun. Let's look at one more. The baby watched a funny movie. So baby. Baby is a person, so that must be a noun. Watched. That's something that someone is doing. The baby is watching, so watched would be a verb. Funny. The baby watched a funny movie. So funny is describing what the movie is like, so that's going to be an adjective. And then movie is a thing. That's something they're watching. So that would be a noun. Now let's practice putting all those parts of speech together. So we use these different parts of speech to make a sentence. Again, in grade 2, we are not going to learn every different type of word. That's something you'd be learning until high school, and even if you were in university, you'd still be talking about that. But we are talking about adjectives, nouns, and verbs, and we know punctuation from before in class. So we need a word here to start with. Let's do a. And then we need an adjective, a describing word. So clumsy, tiny, old, noisy, those are all adjectives. Let's choose silly. And then we need a noun. So we've got some examples of noun. We could do baby, boy, elephant, teacher. Let's do monkey. A silly monkey. And then we need a verb. So the monkey's going to be doing something. So a verb could be runs, cries, dances, sleeps. Let's do sleeps. And then we get to add another part. We're not going to talk about these sort of prepositional phrases, but we are going to add where that monkey is doing this. So let's say on the slide. And then any good sentence needs some punctuation. And I think this is sort of silly. I think it's a bit ridiculous. So I'm going to add an exclamation mark. And let's see if that sentence makes sense. A silly monkey sleeps on the slide. So that's how you would use the different parts of speech to make a sentence.
Now, as you're reading this week, and even as you're writing, I want you to be mindful of the different words you're encountering. And you can think about, is this word a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adjective or a type of describing word? Not all words are fitting into those three categories. So you'll want to remember that. There are some parts of speech that we have not covered, but many of the words you encounter will be a noun, a verb, or a describing word, like an adjective or sometimes an adverb. Happy reading and writing, grade 2. Bye!